All right, good evening. Welcome to the annual general meeting of the Gungahlin Community Council. Today's AGM shouldn't take too long, like all good AGMs, and it will be followed by a normal public meeting of the Community Council. We had 3 speakers lined up. Unfortunately, Troy Roberts from the AFP Association can't make it, so we'll just have the 2 speakers today. But before we get on to the general meeting, we'll conduct our AGM. As we're a registered association, the ACT, we're required to do that and consistent with our constitution. Pretty standard agenda we'll be following today. Opening and welcome, apologies, minutes of the AGM we had last year on the 11th of December. I'll present the President's report. My name is Peter Alford. I'm the current President of the GCC. Our current Treasurer will provide an update on our financial reports and our pretty simple auditor's statement. We'll then appoint the office bearers for the organisation. We called for nominations 3 and 4 weeks ago. And nominations have been received for all of the positions we need to fill, and should there be any general business, we will then conduct that. I have one apology from David Pollard. Were there any other apologies to be recorded in the minutes? Nope, just for one. Beg pardon? Not for the AGM. Okay. Yeah, not for the AGM. So we'll just record the one apology. Just the world's out to get me today. These are the minutes from last year's AGM. They're posted online. You're not expected to read them. Just evidence that they were actually conducted. If you do want to review them, I'd encourage you to just click through the GCC website and pick that link up. I'd now like to call for anyone who attended that meeting to propose that they be accepted as a true record of that meeting. Proposed by Prasad Taberi and Ritsa Tamatrava. Thank you. I have prepared a President's report, and I do apologise it didn't go online until late yesterday. So I'll give you a brief overview of what we've been doing. Perhaps a quick reminder, although we're reporting our AGM very late in the year, we are operating on a financial year that is 2019 through 2020, so the report covers that period from July last year to June this year. So the Community Council really has a two-way flow a role to get information from the community to the ACT government and to get information from the ACT government to the Gungahlin community. And we do that through a whole range of mechanisms, through the media, through an email, through our newsletter we publish, our Facebook page, a very quiet Twitter feed, events, website, public meetings that we run on a monthly basis, and particularly and significantly in this financial year we ran a very significant survey to collect information about that, about the needs and wants of the community. We were involved in a wide range of activities around engaging and informing, taking on challenges and issues like the introduction of the drone delivery service, an active role in facilitating a discussion around how the federal and state and the commercial interests and those of the community could perhaps progress, and we continue to be involved in that. We partnered and supported a number of groups, including the Crayson Ford Residents Association, and we advocate strongly on a whole range of issues in the community. More specifically, just to read out some statistics, we ran 10 public meetings. You will all be aware of the restrictions imposed by the ACT government as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and as a result, all of our meetings since March of this year have been conducted virtually, which really was a pretty seamless transition, and I think a lot of people actually engaged it. This is in fact our first meeting back in person since the COVID-19 pandemic broke. Both the in-person meetings and our online meetings were streamed on Facebook Live and have been recorded on Facebook as well for those who wish to review them. We published one edition of our Gunsmoke newsletter in December of last year. We have 1,000 odd subscribers to our mailing list, 2,700 people who follow us on Facebook, 27 people who like us on Facebook and 31,000 people who follow us. I mentioned the community survey. I would encourage you to have a look at the report when you get a chance, because included in the report is a survey of the results that we extracted from the survey. I guess some of the key things were where people were looking for commercial outlets and amenities around entertainment services, opinions on height, and what other services are missing in Gungahlin. We're engaged a lot with Transport Canberra through the last year, particularly around changes to the bus network, and we work with Transport Canberra to get community feedback to them, and that resulted in significant changes, which was much appreciated. Although we saw some significant progress on road infrastructure, the duplication of Gundaroo Drive, Stage 1, the triplication, is that the word? The sort of half duplication of the Mirabai Drive over the Yerrabi Pond Dam, which have helped a lot, as has the introduction of light rail. We are seeing a lot of congestion in other parts of Gungahlin, particularly in the town centre. Within the town centre, there was a lot of excitement at the beginning of the financial year with the announcement that the cinema project was finally moving forward. Subsequently, they announced that they were putting that on hold due to the COVID pandemic, so we're still waiting for the cinema. On other development-related things, the Air Towers project, which subsequently became the establishment project, lodged an amended development application for their 16-storey development adjacent to the YMCA, and with the YMCA's support and that of the community, we strongly opposed that DA, and in a rare success for the community, the amended DA was rejected. So it's unclear exactly how that development will proceed. The Suburban Land Agency sold 5 mixed-use and commercial sites in Gungahlin, in the town centre, and we've been seeking and actually getting early engagement with the developers that have secured those sites, and we have representatives from one of those projects here this evening. Moreover, in the town centre, we continue to be very concerned about the strategy the government has applied to greatly increase the density of residential units in the town centre, and we continue to engage with the government planning group, EPSDD, around ways in which we can make the town centre work with that particular model. The other major area of activity we've had through the year is making the case to the government that Gungahlin is still grossly underserved in terms of community sport and recreation services compared to other parts of Canberra. And we've had a number of meetings with relevant ministers and had them speaking with us at our meetings about some of the concerns, briefings on some of the specific sites being developed, like those in Casey, and of course engaging in consultations like the one for the Gold Creek Homestead. All in all, a very full year, including a regular round of consultations with the media, Canberra Times, ABC, local radio, Win TVs, and Riot Act and other written media. We participate along with the other community councils and the combined community councils of the ACT, and that completes the President's report for 2019-20. So I do encourage you to have a look online, because the little summary is there. I'll pull that out as a separate document. So, President's report. Any matters arising from the President's report? Nope. Okay. That's where it's on. Please press on. Nope, not going to do it. That's because I changed the screen to something else. That one. Okay, there we go. Nope, it's not going to. Right, I'll now move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Treasurer's report. Our Treasurer is Darren Monks.
Hi, how are you? The balance sheet for the accounts are the Gungahlin Community Council's checking account, 11,211. The savings account, 42,938. So a total of 54,149. We haven't had a great deal of expenses due to COVID-19. So we haven't had a lot of meetings here to pay for and so forth. So our total income for the year is 12,821 from government grants, and our total expenses are 1,700. So that's where we're at the moment.
We have a spectacularly simple financial model. For those who don't know, we're entirely funded by government grants. We have an annual grant, and we're required to spend that each year, although we got special dispensation this year because of some special considerations due to COVID. I now move to the appointment of the Gungahlin Community Council Executive. Our current public officer, Kevin Cox, has indicated he's happy to be the returning officer for this very simple process. As I mentioned before, we had a round of nominations called for 3 weeks ago. On the nomination form, it indicated we could have a maximum of 5 committee members in addition to the public officer, president, vice president, secretary and treasurer. I did review the amendment that we made. There was made to review of the constitution, and it turns out it's 6 ordinary committee members. So that was an error on my part in building the form. So the paperwork says that. So Kevin, I'll just ask you to step through who was nominated and what happens next.
Thanks, Peter. Before I do, I'd like to thank all the members of the committee, outgoing committee, and in particular Peter, who've served well and well beyond the call of duty, if you like. It's been a pleasure working with everyone, and we have achieved quite a lot. Yes. Oh, you can't hear me? I'm just saying that they've done a pretty good job, and I'd like to congratulate them. There we go. So, and express my appreciation of serving on such a good committee. So, other people who have a feeling that they might like to join, it's a nice group to join. So, think about next year, or if some vacancies arise, please put your hand up, because it's quite a rewarding job in a lot of ways. Okay, so let's move on to our nominations. So we've got nominations for these different positions. In particular, we've got one nomination for each position. So we don't have to have an election. We can just simply declare everyone elected. So it looks as though I've...
All right, so I'm back.
Anything else then?
No, you're done. You're out. Thanks very much, Kevin.
I'll put in my bill later.
So we need to formally record that we received all these nominations. For those who did nominate, you'll be aware that you were able to select preferences, and that's what's captured in the summary here. Unfortunately, we've had as many nominations for the positions we had, and so it's ended up being a fairly straightforward process.
Peter, would you like the new members to come up?
I think that's a very good idea. So look, before we do what our secretary has just suggested, I'd also like to add my thanks to Kevin's for the current members of the executive. I'm very glad a lot of them are staying on, so that's a positive sign. But I'd also like to acknowledge two contributors to the Community Council, Luke Hadfield, who has gone on to bigger and greater things and resigned from the council just 2 or 3 weeks ago, and David Pollard, who has been a stalwart of the Community Council and of all things community in Gungahlin for some years, who resigned leading up to the ACT election. So both of them have gone on to have other careers that mean they're not eligible to hold office with the executive of the Community Council. But they have contributed significantly, particularly in David's case. I would ask that Sunita and is Krishna here? Oh, is that? Sorry, I didn't see it. Is Sunita here? Yep. Hello, Sunita. Perhaps if you could just stand up and indicate, and Pradeep as well. So if you could just stand up. These are our new committee members. Welcome. It's tremendous that you're on board. Thank you very much. All right, so office bearers done. Continue to persist. Oh, decided to work. Last item on the agenda is matters of any other general business. So are there any other matters of general business that the meeting would like to record?
Can we have a photo of all the committee members?
Yes, I'm not sure that's strictly something that we'll put into the minutes of the AGM, but yes, let's do that. That's a very good idea.
Maybe all of us today.
Well, all of us. We could do
I
that.
think this is a good step.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do that. I'll note that there are no other matters of general business. I'll close the AGM at this point. Thanks very much. So, yeah, those people who've been elected can't go until we've voted. But in the interest of time, we will get frustrated trying to find the next presentation. So, bear with me a second, I'm just trying to find this one. Is Cheryl here? Cheryl O'Donnell? Okay, well this is going to be a very short meeting. Yep, if do people need to have a quick refill, because we're now down 2 speakers, so it's going to be a very short outing.
So please feel free to have some more food just before it gets cold.
Yep. So we'll move on quietly. So as we normally do, I'll give you a short summary of what we've been up to since the last meeting. Since the last meeting was only 3 weeks ago, because we had to bring this meeting forward to secure a room. It's funny, if you're not allowed to meet face to face, suddenly you can't book a room. Actually, not a lot has happened in the last 3 weeks. The ACT government's been a bit quiet, getting itself sorted out post the election, and we've been busy getting organised with things like the AGM. For our speakers today, we were going to have Troy from the Australian Federal Police Association talking about the new police station proposal, and Cheryl O'Donnell from the Canberra Police Community Youth Club. But she's obviously not made it tonight. So I think we'll be going straight on to the team from Canberra Town Planning to talk about the new development, blocks 3 and 4, section 248. Yep, okay, good. So you're ready to go. So I'll just say a few words about the other things. As part of the process of coming up to the AGM, we did highlight last month that we are now formally asking people to join the Community Council. This is part of a piece of work to improve the governance and structure of the GCC, and partly looking to refresh our constitution, which, as you can see, has had the occasional amendment and has become a bit woolly. It's free to join as a member. It's a very simple set of questions about, how are you connected with Gungahlin? Are you over 16? Just a name and an email address, and we would encourage everyone to join. A lot of you will be receiving our notifications as an email. That doesn't mean you're a member. We're going to try and work out an appropriate way of asking people whether they just want to convert their email newsletter notification across the membership. We haven't quite worked out the best way to do that yet. Just battery. Oh, you've done it again. It's your fault. No, last one? That was the last slide? No, okay, that's last. All right. Team from CTP. You've loaded the
Have we loaded the stick?
It's on that computer.
Yeah,
It's on the computer?
Yeah, I'm shoveling in the coal. Oh,
Good. While they sort that out, good evening everybody. I'm Peter Vanderbilt, Director Canberra Town Planning. It's been a while since I've spoke to the Gungahlin Community Council. I'm trying to think, the last large project we've done here was the Lumi development a couple of years ago. We're still meeting up in set up in, I can't remember where we used to meet back then. And now we're back. We're doing another development a little bit closer to town. I've got with me Bradley Yates, Canberra Town Planning, and we've got Justin Tanti, Cox Architecture. And we're here to talk to you about Thank you, Block 3 and 4, Section 248 Gungahlin. For those that do not know, this is the two blocks on the corner of Anthony Rolfe and Kate Grace Avenue, very handily coloured in blue. These blocks were sold by the government in about April, May this year, and a private developer bought both of the blocks. The leases that was sold allow circa 75-ish units and a range of commercial uses on the blocks. They are vacant blocks. There's a tree, a remnant tree on one of the blocks that we kind of have to work and deal with and see how that's going to work. We've been working quite hard on the land to try and see not only what we'll build, how the titling will work and the like. We're quite happy and quite pleased tonight to come and have a discussion about the work that we've been doing over the last 6 months. And can I invite Justin Tanti to come as a designer on the land to come and have a bit of a chat to us. If I can ask, let Justin just work through the presentation and then we'll be available afterwards to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you. Justin.
Great. Hello everyone. I've been lucky enough to do a few of these little consultation meetings. Done some nice ones in Woden, out in Curtin, but the first time, as well as Pete said, first time to talk to you guys, the Gungahlin. Oh, you can hear me? Beautiful. Sorry, I should have learned from the start. Yeah, no, it's nice to be in you guys' presence today and sort of talk to the Gungahlin community. I guess the point of view I'll be bringing across is one that's aesthetic and functionality and purely from an architectural sense. I'm from Cox Architecture and my name's Justin. So today what we're sort of presenting is the culmination of a bit of a design process with ourselves at Cox and with Alan, the developer, as well as engagement through some consultants to start to progress and flesh out and sort of see the reality of what we can produce on this parcel of land. So the beautiful thing is we are quite early on in the process, so we thought let's get out to the Gungahlin people and let's sort of present where we hope to head and where we want to go and get some early feedback. Because we do appreciate that you are the people that are living in Gungahlin and we'll drive past this, maybe some of your family will be living in some of these dwellings. So it is really important for us to have a successful architectural outcome where we can get your feedback and your response. So is there a way I can flick through, or how do we?
the battery's died off.
Just technology, huh? What do you think? Do you want to just go back to? There should be a master plan. Like if you go right back. Just freestyle this a bit. Beautiful. A little bit more. There you go. We just follow this one.
There's another mic which is going online too.
Oh, cool. Sorry, I might have to stay here. Alright, a bit stuck.
I think you can do one so you can just walk.
I can come here. I feel a bit more free now. So as you can see, this is the two blocks which Pete briefly described at the beginning. We're looking to potentially, as a whole, do a bit of a master plan exercise. What you can see is we're starting to flesh out the top left-hand corner. The rest of the site is, as you can see, still design pending. And it's something that we want to sort of get your feedback and ideas, and it's something really that we're still working towards finding a concrete outcome of. As we sort of work down this process of engaging some of the consultant team and talking with the community and sort of spitballing design ideas, we'll get to a point where this will eventually fleshed out. However, we sort of have landed on some pretty interesting ideas for what we are determining as stage 1, or the stage 1 development, which is again up in the top left-hand corner. For me, from an architectural point of view, it's a building that's really intriguing to myself, and that's because a lot of the time when we're talking with developers and trying to get buildings off the ground, they're really based in economics and what's most efficient and what's most viable and what's something we can just put on, build and get out. We've had the opportunity to work with a great developer and team and bring something to Gungahlin which we think is going to be unique and something a little bit special. And in that light, what we sort of came up with is an atrium typology type building. So essentially, instead of having 2 units back to back with no central airflow, we're splitting the building apart and having apartments to the northern and the south, and essentially allowing cross ventilation right through that building, allowing better outlook, allowing better light, and sort of these fundamental principles which, as an architect, we feel are quite important just for the inhabitants of the residents, and just about beautifying and creating really nice spaces to live in. Can you flick maybe through a couple? Go a couple more. Yep, there's probably one back. Yep, excellent. So you can begin to see how this is fleshed out, where a conventional type building would have this unit plan mirrored essentially back on itself, and would allow less ventilation, less light into the unit, and it essentially creates dark and sort of unwelcoming spaces. Essentially what we've done here is pulled these apart, created an open zone through the center of the building to let natural light, airflow, and to create a bit of wonder and amazement within the structure. Maybe a few more. And as you can see, this atrium sort of runs right up through the center of it. Yeah. So these are just some early design studies we're looking at for the elevations and what this thing will look like from Anthony Roll, from the outside, looking in onto it. Again, we're still throwing ideas around where we're going to land, but I guess some fundamental principles that we're trying to employ are creating a design that's robust, something that won't deteriorate over time. So in doing that, we're looking at getting sturdy materials and things that will last and not weather and fall apart like cheap paints or painted fibre board. Something that will really hold up to the testament of time as well. Because we really feel that creating these buildings, it's a bit of a legacy as well. We don't want our names to be attached to something that's sort of deteriorating or falling apart. It's not good for us, it's not good for the community, and ultimately it's not good for anyone. So we really pride ourselves in developing some successful and beautiful architecture, and in doing that is incorporated robust materials and sort of using design smarts to give great amenity to the end user. I don't know how much time I can talk today.
You've got the stage until
I've got
everybody
the
wanders
stage.
off.
We're going to be here forever. We're going to do a dance. We're going to do anything. Yeah, so look, I can talk forever, but maybe could we hand over some questions? Anyone had any commentaries or down the back?
Gungahlin from GCC. What's the gap between the two buildings? And is there going to be a green area, or you're planting something, or is it just a concrete gap?
Yeah, I don't have my mic, but I'll try to talk loud. So the gap between is there are regulations in terms of how big that gap should be. We're actually going above that and producing a larger gap between the buildings. In terms of defining it as a dimension, we are still working with consultants to work out what that should be and to get best light and amenity for the units. So it's something that's in fluctuation. But I guess the main principles are that we really want to give the end user the ability to get light and ventilation and produce a great apartment.
I think further to that, there's requirements for amenities, privacy separation, noise separation and the like, solar standard ventilation, but then also fire separation. So the Building Code of Australia requires us to have a certain separation between buildings and how we treat them. So in case it's one of them do go up, the other one doesn't burn. So all of that becomes further consideration. In the end, we want to build buildings with great amenity people can live in and really enjoy living. So try and balance all of that up.
So the atrium kind of thing that you're planning in the middle, I mean, that's the thing that's kind of, I think really interesting.
Yeah.
Would people be able to use it? Like, will it have seating spaces there? And the other question would be, normally the tree, I mean, I don't know how many stories the building is going to be. Is it 5 or 6 stories?
So that's a very, and I'll answer that question separately. So we finish, I'll answer how that works.
Because it kind of comes to that where's the trees and everything, they are probably up to one level only, and
Yeah.
after that, you're looking into the other building anyway. So what are you planning to ensure that the top stories also have the green view rather than the concrete view?
Yeah, so I think as the apartments go higher, they get the advantage of having a great outlook out onto the mountains, scenery, and what we want to do is treat these internal sort of wells as having little courtyards where people can have planting and greenery and a nice sort of fence and a bit of visual separation, so you're not looking directly into someone else's apartment, because there is we do want to produce this beautiful thing which is the atrium, but there are things that we have to manage and deal with, and correctly as you've said, that interface becomes something that we need to try to regulate and create sort of interesting solutions on how to mediate and manage it, and one of those is through nice screening, potential planting, and maybe courtyard spaces to the inside.
Let me answer your question on stories, and that's and to go with me a little bit. It's a little bit.
Can you come?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a little bit complex because it sits in definitional requirements and theory plan and the like. This is a 3-story building, and you're going to first say to me, no, but I count many more stories. It is to do with how definitions work and the like. I think it's important to appreciate the site's got 2 falls on it, so it falls from Crace down towards the town centre. That's got a level difference, but it's also different from Anthony Raft to Ennis Kavanagh. So the side slope east to west and north to south, and there is planning definitions that says spaces that is protrudes by less than 1 metre above the ground doesn't get counted as a story. That's a basement, and a space that is in a certain roof configuration is configured and called an attic, and that is not, and that can be 1 or 2 stories within the roof volume. So what we have here, you can see the red line is the natural ground level, so that's the level of the site today. So we've got 2 basement levels that would be under the current, so we'll be digging the site out and set the building, and although you'll perceive it as a story, in the planning definitions it sits below. Then we've got 3 stories of development, and then the 2 top stories will be within a roof volume as an attic. So that's how the building will set out, but in the definitional it is 3 stories, basement and attic. It's just how the planning rules work in the definitions, but that's ultimately how the building would be configured.
And no penthouses?
They could quite likely be 2 stories, and if somebody wants to buy them and we can put them together, not a problem. Pretty sure Alan will be more than happy to do that. Yes?
Is there much open space in the area? I mean, we're moving into ecologically sustainable future, we hope. What I'm wondering is, are there opportunities for people to be able to plant? Are they able to go out there
Yep.
and have a vegetable garden? Those kinds of things that are now going to change, and we have to do things from different perspectives.
So we are looking at opportunities within the development to do some of those, and that's in the planning. We think it's right. There's a requirement for communal open space within the development, so we'll have some component of that. We haven't fully resolved that, but there is a requirement. The government in itself, in setting up the area, has also left land available within the town centre for communal recreation. This is block 4 and block 3. Between to our west, we've got 1 block that's the same size of ours, about a hectare, and that is a block that will be sold in the future. And then we actually got a parkland. If you drive down Anthony Knowles Road, you'll see it's a treed area, and that will be a linear park. It starts on the north where the trees are. Can we go back to the aerial photo?
Can we?
That'll be really useful.
Three,
There
four.
you go.
Oh yeah, that's
So that area there, that's a wide, narrow, and into the grasslands will be a linear park that will not be built on in the future. That's already been set in the plans to be that parkland area in the future. So about one block away from us, we'll have a communal space, and we will have some communal space within our block as well. So the answer is yes.
Could I just ask one more question of you? Historically, in the ACT, we've had some fantastic buildings designed, and the people who have designed those buildings have sometimes suddenly disappeared when it comes to the people who are actually building buildings. So what we end up with as the original conception and what we get at the end.
I'm very
as the
well aware of
builder
those cases.
has changed
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
Are you going to be taking that through the whole process?
So the government has made changes in the requirements in the approval of DAs. Quite commonly, we now get conditions in approval that says if you have a building approval or a development approval, and they often condition a requirement that certain key development outcomes is enshrined in the approval. It might be the materials or the architectural form or the like, and commonly that happens. It becomes fairly immaterial who designed it once you get the approval, because the condition says, should you choose to change that, you need to put a statement in from the designer, if it's the original designer, that says the change is materially within the confines of the original design. And if it's a new designer, then you still need to go back to the original designer to sign off that he's happy that that change is still within what the original design intent was. So that has already happened. I mean, this is quite early days, but we're working on the basis that this concept design will be taken through not only in this building, but across the whole of the precinct. Yes.
We've actually got two online questions.
Yep.
So,
Microphone or something? Oh, yep, there we go. Just there. Cool. That's your microphone.
so two online questions. What will the outlook for the southern apartments be when construction happens to the south?
Justin, your question.
Yeah, so maybe with the when we build the northern apartments, we're looking to have those sit predominantly above and have an outlook out past and over potentially some of the southern units. We do recognise that at the lower levels there isn't an interface where you will look onto a sort of communal zone through the centre of the spine. It's a bit hard to explain because we don't really have.
Can we
Which direction you want to go?
That down
I think
two
the
more?
just on the master plan just after.
Yeah, one more down. Again. Yep. So to the south, you can see we have this open sort of lineal spine that runs through the centre, and that is where we're actually currently engaging some quite good landscape architects really to come up with some lushness and just some creative responses in how to deal with that ground plane. Because we acknowledge that while we want to treat the internal of the building, the atrium space, quite nicely, then we have the outlook from the apartments, looking out and into the landscape, mountain, scenery. It's also very important for myself and I guess for everyone to sort of understand what that lineal element becomes. And it's sort of like, you don't want to treat everything and then just leave this bit, and then that's where the downfall is. So understanding that is probably a bit of a point where we need to address detailedly. We've engaged landscape architects already and are starting to come up with some sort of responses and outcomes to sort of make that place as sort of beautiful and approachable as we can.
I mean,
Just
it is urban living.
Just to add to that, I mean, that's a focus on that site, but on the southern side of Ernest Kavanagh Street, buildings can be constructed up to, I think, what's this, 6 stories, and then 8 stories when you get to Flemington Road. So it steps back up into the centre of the town centre. So you won't have an expansive view to the south, but that's by design. If you want an expansive view to the south, you need to go to the southern side, Flemington Road, where it steps back down again.
I think that's right. Yeah. And I think it's quite
That's part of
important. I mean, I think it's important to appreciate this is urban living. You know, we are living in a town centre, and the design typology acknowledges that. But then you get the relief through this central area, so those units will look onto a planted area, not just hot concrete. So you get that sort of natural interface looking at the unit. But yes, you're going to have units on the other side.
Yeah.
And as Peter said, when you look to the south, there'll be taller buildings and even taller buildings. So you're not necessarily going to have a long expansive view. And that's in design of the town centre. There was a second question,
There's actually 3 questions.
Yep.
I'll do the second question and maybe throw the floor.
and then we'll come back to the last one. Yep, good.
Mr. Murphy asked, with all the apartments and units being built, inner Gungahlin desperately needs more green space. People to places to sit and children to play, etc.
Yep. So it's more and more common, and,
Yeah.
and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but in the end, some spaces has been set aside in the planning to allow for some of that. Like I explained, the central spine that is going through, we have a requirement in this development to have a certain amount of communal space, and we'll have those, and that's areas that it's not only community available, they have to have a function. So there will be a mix of those spaces.
Is that internal or external?
There's a requirement internal to the site, so you have to have a communal area within the land, and then further to that, the government will also provide more public spaces outside the development.
So that's not part of the development, but something the government's going to provide?
Well, the government will do public spaces, and we will do communal spaces within the development.
So the space that Peter's referring to here is the linear park. So you may have heard mention of that. There's a consultation coming out very soon around how the linear park, what do you want the linear park, how will it work? We're certainly, the Community Council has been of the view that the space allocated to the linear park looks great, but it's still pretty modest given how much intensification there has been in terms of rezoning almost all of what's left in the town centre to be mixed use. So, you're going to get a lot of units in the town centre, and I think the argument would be, well, maybe now that it's denser, maybe you could give up some more green space. But in the current plans and the current strategy and all the planning documents, the major green space left in East Gungahlin is the linear park, which goes all the way from Anthony Roth through to whatever the street is.
To the grasslands.
To the grasslands.
Yeah,
So you can, you have to look all the way through.
Yes.
Well, I don't care. I live in high rise, so I know what's wrong with high rise.
Interesting.
Let's start in the basement.
You can see Justin's immediately.
I
interested
love
in that.
this. Like, I haven't had the opportunity.
I know what's right about it, and I know what's wrong about it.
Excellent.
And I know, let's start in the basement.
Yes.
How many car parks are you proposing to allocate per unit? Are you going to have 1 car park per unit?
So,
1.5?
so there are guideline requirements for that. The requirements in the territory plan says you have to have a minimum of 1 car park for a single bedroom apartment, an average of 1.5 for 2-bedroom apartments, and 2 car parks for 3 or more. That's legally required.
Right, the next
Then there's
question.
Then we're just,
How
there's also
wide?
there's also consideration that we are facing quite often, that there's a market of what people expect,
Yeah.
and we want to sell units, so we give people what they want. That makes sense. And then there's also the government from a sustainability point of view. It says we can't just keep on using private cars in Canberra nilly-willy, and if we build it, they will come. We've just spent $1 billion in building a tramway, and it's within walking distance of the site. So we'll get some interest from government to actually try and reduce the number of car parking on environmental considerations. So we're still working through that, because on the one side you've got the market that says give us cars, and then the other side you've got government that's aspirational and says please don't keep on building cars. So we need to find a mix between the.
Right, next question.
Yes.
How
Can I ask a
wide?
follow-up question on what you said? So you actually got an officially from government saying you have to limit the car park?
No, but we
But
do.
that's what
But
you
we do get an aspiration from government that says we put infrastructure in place that should mean you don't need that. Can you please look at environmentally, be environmentally sensitive, and don't just keep on building car parking. It's actually environmentally a really, really big cost to just keep on building car parks. And when you actually look at the science that's out there, we will not be using cars the way we're using them now in this as 5 to 10 years. Yet this building will be here for 100 years. So there's a really fine balance to be found about doing what we need today, but not just building acres of car parks that we don't need tomorrow.
But how wide is each car park going to
So-
be? Because where I park, if you're parked next to someone who drives an SUV, you can't open your car doors.
2.4 metres is the Australian standard,
Yeah, it is, but it's not big enough.
but that's the
Given-
Australian
and
standard.
Are we going to address that?
Well, the Australian standard is a requirement to do that. We cannot build smaller than that.
Yeah, I know.
And so that's the one consideration. The other consideration is structure in the building. So those floors need to be carried on pillars. So the pillars, and the structure engineer says to us, that's where the pillars goes. And essentially the car park sits between the pillars. So sometimes they cannot be less than that. Sometimes they're a bit wider if the pillars are a bit wider, but they will not be less than the Australian standards because we can't get planning approval. I'm interested that you say they're too small because the Australian standards generally are.
Come and try and put your car next to mine and both of us
Well,
open the car doors. You can't.
Well, I drive a Pajero and
Yeah, I know, you're a
and
nuisance.
and I get my car in
You should
pretty
drive something
comfortably.
that- You should drive a Mazda too.
I drive a motorbike most of the time.
All right, good about that. Can I ask some
Yep.
questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. We're still in the basement.
Yep.
Waterproof concrete so it doesn't drip on your car and wreck your car. There are different types of concrete.
Oh, there's also different ways of insulating water in buildings. So yep, absolutely, a very very big issue.
It is
Absolutely.
a very big
Yep.
issue.
I'm
and-
very well aware of that.
Yes.
Yep.
And try and get a solution.
Yep, absolutely. So very well aware. I mean, and I think it's very well documented in Canberra as an issue in a lot of buildings. And these guys work very, very hard with the engineers to make sure that doesn't happen.
Definitely.
It does.
It's a, yeah, so very well aware of that. Yeah.
You're over 3 floors height. Lifts, are you going to have lifts in?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely
Right,
lifts.
are they going to now, are they going to be big enough
Yeah.
to get the stretcher from the ambulance in it?
Right.
Can you just repeat the question because anyone watching online can't
Sure.
hear the question.
So I believe the question was, will we be having lifts? The simple answer is yes. And then the follow-up question was, will we be able to get a stretcher inside the lift?
I've never had that question.
Yeah, that's a new one.
It's happened here in Canberra.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
happened
believe.
overseas everywhere, you know, hospitals in Trondheim put in the lifts and they couldn't get the beds in the
Yeah.
lift.
Well, I'll put it this way. I don't have the 100% answer to that, but we are working with access consultants whose job it is to look through all these DDA compliance.
Right, and the next question
Yeah.
related to the stretchers is when the ambulance come and take you out in the stretcher, corridors have got to be wide enough that they can do the left turn,
Corridors
Yeah.
are-
right turn
Yeah.
into the
Corridors
lift.
are very, very, very strictly controlled in these
Yeah.
developments.
Well, they need to be.
Yeah, absolutely are. And the building code, and it's interesting, it's more important for fire than that it is for the stretcher. And
You don't have very many fires, but where I live, we have an awful lot of stretchers and
but
ambulances.
but you need to design the building for when the fire comes, it's fine. So we actually have no leeway on that. We have to design it very strictly. So I've in my time as a planner that started in '95, and especially in Canberra, I've never seen that as an issue that came through DA that cannot be resolved.
I guess that's one of those issues that the team is working through in regards to that atrium, in terms of the width of that atrium, in terms of the actual design of the entire building. So we got to talk to the access consultant. The access consultant tells us, make it wider, you make it wider.
Then my next question relates to your outdoor drying. Where I live, everybody has got a dryer in their units. We're Australians, we put it outside in the sun. So our unit looks like
Laundry.
every brand is covered in washing.
That's
Are you
okay. That's
gonna
Australian, isn't it?
Are you allocating any areas for outdoor drying?
Yes, the answer is yes, and there's a requirement in the planning that we do.
Right,
So-
you quilt out there.
So standard requirement in the territory plan is that on every balcony we need to have an area for recreation, an area for service. Service areas for clothes drying, and if you have mechanical plant like a compressor unit and the like, that goes there. What the planning rules say is that you have to screen that area. So where the clothes all sits or where the compressor is, we need to screen that so it's not visible from the street, and we will do that because it's a requirement.
So, like, pause that one. We have an
Yep.
online question here and then another one here.
Mr. Scarborough has
asking what designs and landscaping will be in place between the development and the street. It is disappointing that some of the large-scale developments are quite harsh and not well landscaped. Take, for example, the area in around Infinity Towers, pretty much on the corner of Gungahlin Drive and Anthony Rolfe. It's pretty bare. I mean, the apartments are quite well constructed.
It's not pretty bad, it is bad.
Very bare. So that's the first question. And there's one that's kind of related to it. And it's
Sure.
about the landscaping needs to provide shelter from cold winds off the Brindabella Mountains in winter. So both of those sort of do relate around.
Yeah, cool. So, start off, I agree with you. From driving around Gungahlin, there are a lot of beautiful buildings, and it's a shame in some instances where there's sort of been a bit of a neglect to the landscaping, particularly to the front of the buildings. So one thing, again, not to harp on it, but we have been engaging landscape consultants, and what we are proposing is to have to that front side of Anthony Rolfe, to have a planter bed and some nice gates to sort of create an arrival and a sense of purpose and individuality to each apartment, and a bit of an entrance. So there will be some natural green planting and a little bit of landscaping. So, yeah.
Cool, thank you. Sheree, you had a question?
My question was about gas, if there's going to be gas in the apartments or if it's just electricity.
There's no gas. It would just be electrical.
Okay.
Yep.
So what was your question? Oh, is there any commercial first floor?
Yeah, so we are looking to incorporate some mixed use, so that would entail some commercial. We're looking to do it in quite a creative way where we're linking it with the atrium and creating some nice feature stairs to be able to get up and in. And yeah, really create these really nice little pop-outs that do get a nice outlook as well. That's sort of nestled in within the structure.
So if we can just go to the, Brett, can you take
Go
us
back
to the,
a couple.
yeah.
Oh, that one?
No,
Which
no.
one do you want?
Floor plans?
Floor plans will do. What is quite likely to happen, and we're working through those
Yep,
designs at
that's
the
good.
moment.
That's good.
So you can see the kind of pop out
The top right.
on the top corner,
It also does it down there as well.
down there and one up.
Yeah.
We are looking at those with commercial opportunity, but given where we are on the like, it's quite likely that those might start off similar to what's happened on Anthony Rolfe, close to the town centre. They're commercially adaptable, so they might initially be used as residential, but they've got the commercial servicing and like internally, and then when the critical mass in the area is right and business starts making sense, then people will actually buy them and run businesses. But the intention is to allow that to be able to happen in the business or in the building. And we're still working through that, but the intention is to do that, yes.
Okay, so this is 1/6 of the space you have, and you've identified 2 commercial tenancies.
Correct?
So would that be kind of the rule of thumb you'd be going?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We are looking towards the future to potentially have one of the 6 as a complete commercial building. So we're thinking about some of these will be mixed use, some will have less, some might have a full commercial ground floor, and we're even looking at having potentially one of the buildings in its entirely commercial. Commercial.
You indicated that you have a bit of a master planning process going. Are all the 6 pieces of the site going to be similar look and feel, or are they going to be
The hard
contrasting,
question
or-
is,
and is that going to be something you're going to document as part of the master, part of this DA? Because it kind of looks like you're only going to DA for just that 1/6 building.
I can answer that question very simply. We don't know, and the reason we don't know is because we don't know where the current variation is going to end. We would like to be more aspirational than what the plan provides, but it is where it is, and we don't know exactly what the future is going to be. Yet we can't hold the site forever. We need to make a start to start getting return on investment and minimise the holding costs. So once the planning is further advanced and we know more about what the future is going to be, this is designed to be compliant with the draft variation.
So this is 364.
Correct? Yep. But we don't know. We haven't seen what all the comments are. We don't know where the government's going to go with it. It's quite likely to go through a standing committee, and there'll be a whole lot of submissions. We are intending to do submissions to that as well. We think the site's got a better opportunity than what the 364 is talking about. But until we're through that point, so we want a bit of keeping our powder dry on that to really see. We've got a scheme that's been designed to respond to 364, but we want to be more aspirational and bring something better than what the current draft plan's talking about. But until that's been progressed, we don't know.
And one more before I give up the talking stick. Are you taking this to the design review panel?
So it's not required to. We tried to have a discussion to them before Christmas, and we were told they couldn't accommodate us. So we tried, but we were told they can't accommodate us.
Kevin?
Are you going to do any surveys of your existing, along the lines of the previous question, are you doing some surveys of your existing buildings to ask the tenants what they like and what they don't like about those existing buildings?
The short answer is yes. We've got Alan sitting in the corner. Alan Perkwick, he's the owner of the company that's doing this. Alan's quite experienced. He's done a number of multi-unit developments in town. I've worked with Alan for 7 years now, Alan, about. We are very, very interested in working with our previous buyers, not only to make sure they're happy with what we buy, but also to understand what works and what doesn't work, so we want to learn as we go on. So the answer is yes. We are doing
a formal consultation event. So this isn't it.
Yeah.
There's one in, I think, 8 days. I believe we're doing it probably there or here. And basically, you know, that's an opportunity where we've letterbox dropped the neighbours around the site in the town centre along Anthony Rolfe over towards the eastern end of the town centre as well. So that's part of it.
So simply internal
you can't
feedback.
force people to give you the feedback.
Internal feedback, absolutely. We're learning as we go. Things change, fashions and people's ideas and aspirations change, localities change, but we're very sensitive. In the end, we want to not only sell units, but we want to make sure people enjoy living there. I mean, Alan's been here forever. I think it's important his business is in, he's got a business in town. It is in Gungahlin. He's a Gungahlin knight, if I can call him that, and he's been around forever.
Do you want me to introduce myself?
I think that'll be actually pretty good. I don't know if you would. Yep.
I don't need the mic, I'll scream as well.
I think just come stand at the front so people can hear you online.
Hi, my name is Alan Perkovich. I'd like to thank the Gungahlin Community Council first and foremost, and everyone for giving us an opportunity. Step back a bit. For the opportunities to present what I believe is state-of-the-art precinct. I've grown up basically, well, lived most of my life in Gungahlin. My parents moved from Croatia. We settled into our first home in Amaroo, and since then have lived, you know, in Gungahlin. So my family owned cafes and takeaways within the marketplace. I have an accounting firm as well there, so I've seen all the changes throughout the years. My intention here is to, like I said, provide a mixed-use precinct which will have retail, offices, all those things that I, you know, hear and read about on several publications and stuff like that, for as long as people want to purchase it as well, and it makes commercial sense. I believe that Gungahlin can become a better place to live as well. Our intention is to have cafes, delis, wine bars, whatever, you know, people desire, I guess, at the end of the day. So, yeah.
That's good. Thanks.
No worries.
Right.
Thanks,
Well,
thank you, guys.
You're on that, Kevin?
I should ask the question on sustainability. How many stars, etc.
10 stars. So seriously on sustainability, what's your aspiration there?
Yeah, so again, just to go back to the bare minimum requirements, that we are adherent to some regulations, which do mean we have to meet a certain standard. And in way of the actual building typology, we are promoting a higher sense of sustainability in that these will be cross-ventilated, gain a lot of natural light. And then it's sort of a bit of a turnover into what we do with the landscape, how much if we're providing planting, deep root planting, how much shading. So all that's in consideration at the moment.
In terms of energy ratings, requirement is 6. Apartments quite common and quite easily do better. We are aspirational to be quite a lot better. I mean, we haven't done the ratings yet, but we wouldn't be happy with just 6. We want to do better than that.
Right, back over here.
Right, sustainability. Solar voltaic panels on the top.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that is becoming quite trendy. A lot of developments have started to introduce them. Whether we do implement it on this one, I don't think we've landed on a conclusive answer.
Oh,
And
because if you do have solar
Sure.
voltaic panels, then you're building to sell, not building to rent, and you do have them then. You do have the solar voltaic panels. Who will benefit money-wise with the reduced electricity bill?
It's quite interesting because the government is going through the process at the moment to make changes to the unit titles plans, which makes that much more able to be utilised to the benefit of the building. Previously, body corporates couldn't do some of those things. So it's becoming more interesting to developers to do that because it can return an investment and actually reduce the levies and things like that. So yeah, we're looking quite strongly at that. It's quite important.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The other thing,
It is of a lot of interest because we can actually get a competitive advantage out of
Yeah.
that. So yes, we are very strongly looking at it.
right, you're building to sell. Is there a requirement from the ACT government that you have a number of apartments for low income?
Yep, there is. I can't remember the exact number, but yes, there is.
What percentage?
I think it's just under 20%.
20%?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere around that 15%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Across both sites, there has to be, let's say if a yield was 150 odd, 25 or 27 have to be at an affordable rate.
Affordable.
So the government has sold these lands under a deed of agreement. The deed of agreement's got an actual number in it, how much apartments is included in the lease, as well as how many, which of those we should be providing under their affordability scheme. So they've put threshold and considerations for 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments as to what is affordable, and we are required to have a certain number that meets those requirements. And that's contractually required, so we have to do it.
Oh, back to the basement. Down to the car.
Love the basement.
My development, because you won't have any issues with it.
Yeah.
I feel like the basement's not good enough.
We can do a better basement.
So is your car park spaces more than 2.4 meters? That is where it starts.
I would say yes, but I've never
3
measured it.
meters.
I haven't even got into the basement because
Sorry, which apartment do you, if you don't mind me asking, which complex?
I live in Goodwin at Crace.
Goodwin in Crace.
Yes.
They should have definitely had wider car park.
Oh, that's
No,
interesting.
they don't.
Yeah, that's
It's interesting because
We fight over them.
But you know what, I drive a Mazda too, so
Oh, good on you, good on you. I'm pleased to see that. A problem with getting into the car park basement, it's coming off a main road. What's going to be happening there?
Which main road are you talking about? We're
Well,
actually
from
coming.
Anthony Rolfe.
We're not coming off Anthony Rolfe.
Right, so
We're coming off
usually
Ernest
between-
Kavanagh for the basement. So from the back, from the southern side, there'll be a services lane. So that's where deliveries and waste vehicles will go through.
Yeah.
But the best basement space we're
Yeah.
looking at is just adjacent to it. So cars in and out onto Ernest Kavanagh, trucks that go straight through.
Moving vans, like
Moving van.
vans,
Yeah.
yes.
Waste trucks.
maybe the ambulance could go there. Everything.
No, emergency services will use that same
Actually,
space.
back to the garbage trucks. We have a big problem in that you've got the hoppers in the basement, but the garbage trucks can't get there.
We will have waste enclosure at grade in this building, so the truck just comes up, get the waste, and keeps them going.
One of the requirements for a development application, one of the requirements for a development application is that city services get to look at the development application and go, yes, we can or can't
Yeah.
come and collect the rubbish.
Oh,
In theory, that should not happen.
And it's actually quite important because residential waste collection is so Goodwin is commercial and the developer has the development's got its own contract with the collector. Residential is serviced by the government and the government contractor. So unless they accept the design that they can actually service it, they won't allow us to build it. So.
How are we going for that list of questions?
Oh, look, I'm full of them.
I love it.
It's not bedtime soon.
That's what we're here for.
I'm now up on the roof collecting water. Is that going to be happening?
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
Definitely.
there are requirements.
Are there
Again,
storage water
Yep.
tanks with a pump in them to get them up and out
That
instead of
is
just having them
definitely.
under the ground and
things
things grow?
first easy question, yes, we have
Yes.
to collect stormwater on site.
Yes,
That's a
I know you have to,
requirement.
but are you going to use it?
We are trying our best. Sometimes, for various reasons, you can't, but in this instance, we are trying to. Yes, we're going to have a lot of planting and stuff, so yes, we want to. And we want to make sure it's nice. So yes, we're working hard to try and do that.
All right, couple more. We'll go back.
I have just
Yeah,
one
yeah.
very small,
Yeah.
very small question.
Yep.
Hybrid cars and electric cars.
Oh, yes.
So will each of the car slots have the charging capacity?
That is a fantastic question. A lot of that works through the amount of power we can get on the site. So we're working through some of those things at the moment with the electrical engineers. What's the size substations, what's the demands and the like. So we are trying to incorporate more, again, in terms of sustainability, we have 100% sustainable power in Canberra. We want to utilise and make it available. Some of that is technically about what is able to be done in terms of the substations and the like we can get, because there's also a trade-off about how big the sub is and how you build around it and the like. But the aspiration is to try as best we can.
There's also ownership over the power as well,
Exactly, and measuring it.
and metering the power, and doing that under a unit's plan is not as easy as you would think.
It's a difficult thing, but we aspirationally are trying to do that. It's whether we technically can succeed. The smart people will tell us how to do it, the engineers, if we can.
You can get some of this from NSW Gorman.
No, it doesn't work, unfortunately, like that. You can't just plug in anywhere. We get told by the government, and in this development, we'll quite likely have to put substations in for ourselves. But it's also how much power is actually feeding the substation. So it's the I'll leave that for the electrical engineers. I'm not an electrical engineer.
Those solar voltaic panels, and on the
They
roof,
don't make enough. They don't make enough power to power the cars.
Yeah, it was challenging, stacked. Question over here.
One quick question. I live in an apartment, and I've tried to get my own solar panels, but technically I can't. It's not quite achievable at the moment. But have you considered about putting up solar panels to light the areas, like the common areas?
Oh yeah. So that's what's commonly happened is that the solar panels are owned by the body corporate, and the power that gets generated power the communal area lighting. So the basement, the walkways, the outdoor areas. So that's the easy thing to do. But with the changes in legislation, we might even be able to utilise some of that power to the benefit of the unit owners. So those rules are busy changing, which give us more opportunities, and as that change, we'll be able to do more. And because as soon as we can derive or use the capital that we derive out of it, that's an opportunity to lower levies and the like, which makes the units more appealing to sell. So of course we'll do that when we can. Make sense.
So you have one, Darryl?
One just a quick one, and it's based off some feedback that we have at a previous meeting in regards to NBN connections to which department?
NBN connections are often challenging because of the regulator that deals with that. So our electrical consultant deals with it. We want to do that. That's as for the aspiration lie, but whether they can ultimately accommodate us is something we haven't worked through technically yet. But if we can, absolutely.
All right. Are we all done with the questions and queries for the team? Well, thank you very much, everyone. We managed to fill most of you, just for one speaker. So thank you very much, guys.
Not a problem.
Thank you
very much.
That brings us to the end of our program, fortunately, because those that go on late, but unfortunately because we did have two very interesting speakers around topics of importance to the community, community facilities and policing and security. So their topics we'll be taking up into the new year. Congratulations again to everyone who has joined the Community Council. Thank you very much for those who can continue on in the Community Council. There's much to be done to finish off Gungahlin, and we look to work with the community and with the developers who are putting the money in to build it to make it so. So looking forward to next year. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
See you in February. If you've just joined the GCC, don't run away. We'll get that photo.